If you're watching this on YouTube, I just want to let you know that if you'd prefer to listen to this episode as a podcast, you can click the link down in the description, which will take you to our Spotify, where we will be uploading all of our longer review type videos as podcasts. And if you'd rather keep watching the longer videos here on the channel, that is fine too, because in addition to being on the Spotify, they will continue to be posted on this YouTube channel.
What is up, everybody, all my plos and all my casts, and welcome back to the in-depth review of Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 4, Cornered. Short episode, but I think we do have a lot to dig into, so stick around, grab some snacks. My favorite is chocolate pretzels.
Yes.
And let's blow out.
I'm going to have to go with strawberries, chocolate-covered strawberries. If we're going chocolate-covered anything, It's going to be strawberries.
I'll drink to that.
Okay, right. So, yeah, shorter episode, but, still a lot of stuff that happened. As per usual, I wanted to start off with all the old references or, other things that have been brought back into the show. First off, my epic kind of call, I guess, with Pantora.
Bombshell.
I talked about it in our review for the last episode for a completely unrelated reason. And then it ended up showing up in this episode, which is probably kind of more impressive anyway than like it being linked to anything. So I was like, this would be cool, and then boom, it happens. But I believe that's the first time we actually go to Pantora. Because in that arc of the Clone Wars, I think they're only on Ordo Plutonia. Senator Chuchi's there, and the chairman dies, and then they just kind of, and then there's that little bit with the George Lucas character whose kids get kidnapped.
Yeah.
So it's good to see them return. Speaking of species returning, if you wanted to take us into that, you had a little note there.
I know, I forget if we mentioned, but tons of familiar species just in the backgrounds and stuff. We had some major characters who were familiar. So in my rewatch, I did a little research and I looked them up. Of course, we have the Pantorans that Evan talked about. But in in the reaction, I say, "Hey, is that an Ugnaught?" to the crewman,
Shipmaster, I guess.
Shipmaster, yeah.
Guy.
I was wrong. He was a Soliston from planet Solus. Famous character, Nine Nub, if you know him. He flies Millennium Falcon with Lando in Episode 6.
And his head looks like a stack of pancakes.
And he is the pancake face. But yeah, I guess maybe there's animation style or something, because he does kind of look like an Ugnaught to me still.
Yeah, he's a little tall for an Ugnaught though.
But yeah, Solus. So we see them. And then Malastairs, who we see. There's some senators of them in Episode 3, but that's the race of the guy that they sold Echo to, who I was like, oh, I know who that is. But the last one I noticed was an Aquilish, who most famously, the Aquilish in Bad Batch was a guy driving the dump truck who was just jamming out to his tunes. But the very famous one is Ponda Baba, who had his arm completely sliced off by Obi-Wan in Episode 4. Those are all the ones I catch, but I invite you guys to catch more. I just watched this on my own. I didn't. The only thing I searched up was the alien race names.
Yeah,
which was kind of hard.
Yeah, there's no way that we would get them all. Like, there's so many models of different species that they've had throughout Clone Wars that they can use to just update and plop in. There's like a fifth there, and I think there's probably like Rhodians everywhere, and just really cool that they're filling out the world, and to see the diversity of all the different species. It's just really cool.
That's what I was gonna say. I love when they do that. It makes the world seem interconnected and cool.
Yeah. They mention Idaflor. I believe this is the first time we're ever hearing of this planet existing, or moon. I think it's a planet, or it could be a whole system. I don't exactly remember, but this is a new planet and it's uninhabited according to tech. So that should be interesting. We're getting. I like them bringing back stuff, but I also like new stuff. But that's the first time that is referenced at all. Fennec obviously comes back. I think it's funny because she looks about the same in the animation model, because Mandalorian takes place like 20 some 30 years after where we are right now. So She aged pretty well, I'm thinking. But at the same time, Deborah Chow, who plays her, I think she's like in her 50s. So if they had Fennec as her age in Mandalorian, it would make sense because she would be like in her 20s about now, which still works.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting because like we were talking about like how we thought the model was really good and how Fennec was done pretty well, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I know we talked about it a little bit in our reaction, but I just love how much of like a force that Fennec was. She was a unit in this episode. I remember the line Hunter says, "Oh, well-trained female bounty hunter," or later he says, "Must have been a bounty hunter." So
Yeah.
that just shows like they're making sure like they're. I feel like they're setting her up for. We both said we don't really want too much Fennec in this one. Just kind of like the bad guy. We don't want to know her story too much because like I want the show on the Bad Batch. But I feel like they'll slowly set her up and like define like, oh, she's really well skilled. How did she get skilled? I think we'll learn about that in the Boba Fett show, which is coming up. I think that'll show
Yeah.
the majority of her. But like, just you can just see like they never like I don't know, just she housed Wrecker, and she was like almost she was thinking on her feet too with Omega, which is something I call in my rewatches like she's like manipulating Omega's like, oh, I can help you out, and like, oh, here's a fruit if you're hungry. Like she's playing a nice role, and like she's literally just lying her way to a kid, which is really shows you like not scummy, but like she does like whatever she needs to
Manipulative.
do. Yeah, she gets the bounty done. Which is why I think we're gonna see her again because her bounty isn't completed. And she seems like the type who will be tracking down Omega for a while.
Yeah, I hope this is not the last we see of her.
Yeah.
Next up, I had something else we always do every review, seemingly, was actually talking about the Bad Batch themselves because they are the main characters. I thought it was cool that each member had like a thing to do, sort of. Even Wrecker, which we'll talk about. Like Hunter was, taking Echo and Omega to the shops and to get supplies. Echo was working with the droids later. Hunter was tracking down Omega and following Fennec. Tech was removing the or like make it so they can scramble their ship signature and repairing the ship. Wrecker went out to find Omega and fight Fennec, even though he just got demolished. But you know, I think it's cool when they have like each person has a specific thing that they can do. Like I remember in our video when Tech was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need like a whole team of droids to get this thing back." I was like, "Oh, Echo has a whole team of droids right there," and then he
Peace
did.
squad. Yep.
So it was great. I just like seeing that because sometimes in shows like this where you have a lot of characters, sometimes some characters are just shoved off to the side to do nothing because they don't fit in the story, even though they need to be there because they're part of the show. But I think at least in this example, it was handled pretty decently.
Yeah, I really like what you just said there about shoving off a character to the side. Because usually, like when you have like a group like team or something, you get like a couple leaders, and then you have like role players. Like, oh, this guy is like I don't know, he just does his one little niche thing. But that's not what the Bad Batch is. They all can like go out on their own, get the mission done, and come back as a team. And I think that's what makes them such an exceptional unit. Like the fact that Hunter can go out and he almost saves the day, but then Echo comes up and picks up the little spots that he missed, and Tech and Wrecker. I thought it was really cool. But the one thing on this episode that I thought was kind of interesting was Wrecker on his own.
Hmm.
I think Wrecker, almost contrary to what I just said, works way better when he's working with everyone else. I think
Yeah.
it's hard for him to go out on his own because we see like he wants to help. Like he has his heart's in the right place. Oh, Omega's like in trouble. He's off.
Hmm.
But like he gets housed, like, and then he's running around still, and he gets back. He's like, oh, I missed
Yeah.
everything. But like even in this episode, we see it when he's with Tech. He's like, "Oh, just tell me what to rip out," and they both like they get the thing out. Like when
Yeah.
he works together with the group, I think that's when Wrecker's at his best.
Yeah. You
I
mentioned that
would,
in our
yeah,
video with the two of them, their connection, which I think is really cool.
yeah.
Tech and Record Tecker. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh,
Uh-oh.
hashtag Tecker,
Oh, no.
drop some
Um,
Teckers.
yeah, it's funny because like, they're like essentially opposites. Like Wrecker is just huge, Tech is like normal size, Tech is really smart, Wrecker's not he's not smart, but he's
Yeah,
different.
he's more brawn than
He's brute
brain.
strength, and Tech is, he's, technology. See
Oh
what they
my
did there?
goodness. Oh, speaking
Um,
of technology,
this
thank
episode
you
is
for
sponsored
today's
by.
sponsor, Radio Shack.
Oh man. Um, yeah, that was cool. Wrecker. Another thing with Wrecker, he gets another brutal head injury. He just gets like absolutely just destroyed by he's like putting his fist together. He's like, I got this. Puts on the helmet, just rolls up, and then in one fell swoop, just like Fennec just bah, slams his
Yeah.
head against the wall. His helmet comes off. He just crumples to the ground in a heap. Another bad head hit though. And like even when he
Mm-mm-mm.
got up, we saw him. He was all woozy and like he was like struggling to stand upright. He's like, gotta find Omega. Um, but I don't know. This cannot be just an accident anymore. Like the first hit was a lot in episode 2 was or no episode 3 was a little bit more focused on. Like he was rubbing his head and talking about it more. Um, I feel like that set the foundation for this storyline, and then this we're just getting a little bit more of it, like boom, another head hit. It's like for you to tally down. It's like, okay, there's the two. I'm wondering if that could lead to anything in the future. I'm pretty sure it will, because there's no way they would put something like that in there with it leading to nothing.
It's way too much to be a coincidence, in my opinion, as well.
I thought that fight was kind of funny because it reminded me of Indiana Jones when like the swordsman comes up, he's like swinging the sword, and then you expect like Indiana Jones to have a big sword fight with this guy, and then he just pulls out his gun and just shoots him.
Yeah.
um, Fennec
That
just like boom,
yeah.
done. You expect this big fight, and then it just it's over.
That fight, I think, speaks levels on both Fennec and Wrecker. I think, well, we already mentioned like Fennec, like, oh no, she could just take down Wrecker that easy. So obviously he's powerful. But like on Wrecker, I feel like he's used to just like, oh, some bounty hunter, yeah, I'm gonna make
Yeah,
soup of her. Like I feel like he did what he did because usually that doesn't happen. Wrecker can like clear a whole room of droids by himself, and we see him do it. But like in this one, he's like, oh, another head injury.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's a good point because like the hardest thing he's fought that we know of anyway is like a bunch of droids or like maybe Crosshair in the first episode, which he also got schooled when he got literally
yeah,
shot. So is it we're not dissing Wrecker, just saying like
yeah.
it's showing that they're out of their comfort zone essentially. The whole team is because this is just really new for them.
Exactly.
But I think I agree that Wrecker probably works better skill wise with the rest of the team, although I do like him on his own, like the funny little comments he makes and just how he acts around things. I hope they kind of grow him a little bit more to be able to become more, I guess, not confident because he's very confident, to become more, I don't know, like capable of handling things on his own.
hmm
Based on what we've seen so far, it's mostly the whole team. So but either way, it's still pretty fun. I like how this episode is just like them committing like felonies like the entire
Oh
time.
yeah.
Like they bribe the official, they Omega takes the toy, they scam the guy with Echo, they steal all the droids, they steal the guy's speeder. Omega breaks into the sewer, and so does Wrecker, which probably is not legal, but it's just funny that the whole thing is just them just breaking the law.
Yeah. We pointed that out in our reaction, but yeah, definitely.
One little thing that I noticed that could just be me, but I really liked it when I think in my head that this is actually what happened. When Echo was with the droids, he he started like when he ordered them around, he was like I forget what he's like, "Gear up, fellas, we're going in the field," or something like that. It just reminded me that the 501st in the Clone Wars specifically, they were a lot more accepting of droids than other battalions, mostly because of Anakin and R2, because the soldiers loved Anakin. They trusted Anakin because he was, he saw the clones as equals. And Anakin also he really just cared about R2, and he saw R2 as more than just a droid, but as a member of the team. So therefore, the 501st, who worked under him, also saw R2 as like one of the guys. And I just think it's cool that Echo, who was part of the 501st, the way he talks to the droids, he's not like he's not ordering them around like they're droids. He's ordering them around like they're soldiers. Like he's like, "Come on, fellas, we're going out in the field." That's like that's something you say like to your other like if you're like a sergeant or a commander or something. And then when they finish up repairing the ship, he's like, "Thanks for the help, boys." And like it just I don't know, that could be intentional or not. It could just be Echo being him, but I like to think that that's
I
the connection there.
I really like that. That's cool. But with Anakin and R2, we see multiple times like him like, no, I gotta get R2 back, like in the Clone Wars. But one thing like that I always noticed when I was a kid was Revenge of the Sith, the opening scene with the Budge droids, and they just
Mhm.
house R4, and Obi-Wan's just like,
Obi-Wan just does not care at all.
he's like, I don't think that makes Obi-Wan a bad guy, but I think that points out how much more special it is for Anakin to care so much about
Yeah.
R2. And I
Yeah.
think it goes back to episode 1 where he first met R2 with
Hmm.
Padme on the ship. So, I think maybe we're reading into it too much, but if this is like some sort of motivation behind the way Echo acted, that's
Yeah.
really cool. I'm glad you
Yeah.
pointed that out.
I was watching it again and I was like, "Oh, that has to be it."
Oh yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Because like you said, like normally they call them clankers. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go out, fix the ship, and then he'll just dump them off again.
Or they
But
make a
no,
dumb comment that's like, "Stupid droids." Like
exactly.
some in
Yep.
season 7 that happened, like with the little light droid in the reactor room or something, or I might be thinking of a different episode, but like they're always just making little sly comments about like derogatory things about droids. But then you have Echo, who's another thing could be he also feels a lot closer to them because he's part droid now, like his in his head and his arm and his prosthetics. So there's that plus him just being from his past with Anakin in the 501st. That could just be us, stretching, but I think it definitely makes sense for him to act that way towards droids when most clones usually just kind of disregard them. My man's Clink.
I really like Clink.
Yeah, he's got like the ventilation tube arms and legs. It's like
Yep, the
just
accordion stuff.
bouncing around. What a guy. Do you have anything else about the just the members of the squad, like Omega or just anybody in general?
I do want to speak. We spoke on it a little bit again in the reaction, but Omega, how just naive she is.
Mm.
It's kind of cool because like again, she is a child, and she grew up on Kamino her entire life. So like you might say like Omega, what are you doing? Just like, running away, chasing a cat, chasing that little toy. When there was literally the same toy in like we saw two of them in the
Yeah.
shot, but she goes and chases. But like that makes sense for who she is, who her character is.
Yeah.
2 episodes ago, she discovered dirt. I mean, and we have this vibrant place. Like we listed all the aliens that we count. Like it makes sense for her to do this, and
Yeah.
for her to like blatantly just trust Fennec like she did,
Yeah.
which is cool. I think that's really cool to be consistent and not just write characters like for the story, but write the characters for the character, which I think they're doing with Omega.
Yeah. In our video, you were like so naive, and I was like, she's been to like what 2 planets ever and a moon.
Exactly.
Like
Yep.
she has no idea about anything other than life on Camino, which is why she was so excited to. She wanted to explore more than be safe while they were on the run. She's like, I want to explore. I want to do this.
Mhm.
Next up, I just want to talk about like the episode itself, the plot, the story, details, anything that happened. Like we mentioned, there was a lot of species and cool world building on Pantora, which I believe we're seeing for the first time, unless they went there at one point in the Clone Wars. One thing that I noticed when they get there and they give the ship guy, they give him credits. Are those like Republic credits or are they Imperial credits? Like, cause they, I remember, like it's immediate. Immediately, Republic credits are phased out. They no longer are worth anything. You have to have a chain code and you have to turn in your Republic credits for Imperial credits. Just kind of little because I don't know if that guy, like, is it a matter of that guy just didn't notice, or does he still accept Republic credits? Because like he's kind of schemy, you know?
I could speak on this. But yeah, they were definitely Republic credits
Yeah.
because our guys are off the grid. Like that's what they're doing with the ship too. They're gonna get off the Empire's database just like Mando's ship is.
Yep.
Fun fact. But the reason the guy was like no problem. Actually, he did have a problem. He wanted more credits. But that was the only thing. It's because like if you see the parade later on, Rampart again, who we see again in holograph form, is like no charge of the Empire. You can turn in and
Yeah.
transfer your
Yeah.
Republic credits into Imperial credits free of charge, and everyone's cheering. We made fun of it because it's kind of like a generic
So
thing,
funny.
but he can go right up and change it, and that's why kind of
Yeah.
the Empire's on their planet, like to their like the Empire's gonna stay. They're not gonna just do this. But the
Yeah.
citizens think, oh, they're giving us free money. Like I can just trade my credits and have all this wealth. Like okay, awesome.
I
So
love
that's
the
why we see
Empire.
some cheering and stuff. Which also I want to talk about, like the little parade of clones, like that thing. We can get
Oh
into that
man.
later. But yeah, they were definitely Republic credits, which I think might be a problem later on as they do start getting
Yeah.
phased out. But right now we're in the transition period where they are still kind of acceptable.
Yeah. I think they're not necessarily accepted, but if you have them, it's fine because you can just go switch them out for Empire Imperial ones and works out fine.
Exactly.
Um, like I guess they wouldn't be accepted at like official places. Like you can't go to like a bank and use Republic credits, but if like you're at a market, you just oh yeah, here's some you'll just switch these out later, right? So like it more smaller person to person transactions and smaller stores, it probably is still okay to use Republic ones.
We also see a bit of kind of the same sentiment in Mandalorian, where Imperial credits don't matter anymore because the Empire is dead.
Yeah.
I remember Mando runs into that with I think Grief Karga, right, with the bounty trades. I forget, but it kind of shows just how much war and transition periods are in Star Wars and how like things like these like come into play.
Yeah. So you mentioned their shuttle being off the grid or like they can scramble its signature or however it works. I'm wondering if obviously that would work for like a computer or a database that doesn't know what it looks like or anything. But there are definitely people out there that know what the shuttle looks like. So that doesn't mean they're fully safe from everything. Fennec knows what it looks like. Crosshair
Yep.
knows what it looks like. There's a bunch of probably so many clones know what it looks like from
Oh
having
yeah.
worked around them before. So they're not fully off the grid yet, even though they can scramble the signature. And I just think it's still they're not fully safe yet. So don't expect them to be I'll watch every single episode. Oh, it's okay. Boop, fine. Disregards
Yeah.
everything I've said. It's cool to see that police siren noise really just hit me with some like nostalgia.
I was gonna say the
Like,
same exact thing.
yeah.
It's got to be the word, or I guess sound for sound, same noise from all of Clone Wars and
Yeah.
Star
Oh
Wars
yeah.
and everything.
It is.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my God. One of those big Pantoran police bikes. Speaking of, I think they need some better like equipment because like that's like a simple blaster. And like
Yeah.
what's the point of having the glass shield like other than like for like debris? Because he just got shot right through it. Like maybe
Mm.
it cracks first shot, and then a second shot it gets, a hole, and then it gets through, but like I don't feel like for their sake, it's like, wow, that's really weak. Like you did one shot from a tiny hand blaster, just breaks right through, kills them, and then they crash into the building.
I was gonna say maybe they don't have like maybe Pantora is just a good neighborhood, but then like no, it's not. We literally see a shipmaster take a bribe. It's the first thing we see. So no, they definitely should have at least reinforced. I forget what's called glass in Star Wars. Um,
um, I don't know, some kind of
something.
plating,
Yeah,
like whatever.
I'll Wikipedia it last or later.
Wikipedia, the sacred texts.
Yes,
You were talking about that parade for the end of the war. It really reminded me. Did we watch the Empire Day episode of Rebels?
we
Yeah, we
did.
did. Yep.
Yes, we did.
It reminded me of that, just like the marching stormtroopers and the people like, yeah, and you're like, but it's not a good thing. Stop.
I know.
Um,
Yep.
although I understand at the time because the war being over is a good thing for most systems. They're like, okay, finally we can have peace, and we don't have to have troopers coming in and asking for things and like holding us hostage and like battles happening like on our planets and on our moons and just wherever. Pantora's a moon, actually, I forgot. But
Okay.
like, it makes sense for them to be celebrating the end of the war because from what we've seen so far, at least or at least from what the public knows, the Empire is just the new government, and they're being generous. The war is over. You can celebrate. We're having a new credit system. Everything, the past is going away. We're changing. So they're fine with it. They're like, this is great. I like this, and I understand why. It's not like you're an idiot for liking this because so far it seems good. It seems like the right way to go.
Quick shout out to my girl Padme from episode 3. Liberty dies to thunderous applause.
Thunderous applause.
Yep. So it like again, they're happy to do this because like no more war. Like
Yeah.
that's a benevolent thing in like the minds of most people. It's only later that they see like, oh geez, this empire is not so good.
No, not at all. Um, we always talk about it, but more examples again of the great animation in this series and the lighting. Like just the lighting for me was the biggest part because like in the city with all the fluorescent lights in the different shops, like when Omega's running and you're looking at it from the side, and then it cuts to Fennec is running, all the lights from the different shops hit their outline and their back, and the light glows off, but they're dark and shit. Like the way it just looks so good. It looks better than it ever has, I think. Um,
Oh yeah, and the crowds, how diverse they were, and
yeah,
like it,
yeah,
they didn't look like a background crowd. They looked like, oh, those are their own characters.
yeah,
Like
like a real
it
city.
looked exactly really
Yeah.
nice.
There's another scene when Omega's asking Fennec to like come join them. They're standing by this pink fluorescent sign or something. Just that scene in particular, I saw that I was like, wow, that looks really good. Like it was just this pinkish red like glow over like three-quarters of their faces, and it was just I don't know. This reminds me of how far they've come animation wise. It's pretty much everything I had. We had more fun droid moments. I always like when they slip some droids in because droids can be fun in small doses. Other than D Squad, I love D Squad. A lot of people kind of rag on it sometimes because oh, droids are lame. But the D Squad arc in Clone Wars is George Lucas's favorite arc in the entire
I,
show.
fun
So
fact, yeah.
cool, and they got that new droid type we were talking about, like with the tube, like spongy tube legs and arms. So just they're still adding just more stuff into the universe, just more. There's just more things, which is always great. Anything else you have about this episode?
I do have one last thing,
Okay.
kind of like to speculate because I always say how I love to speculate, but we see at the very end Fennec on her little transponder saying like the kid got away, but it's all right, she won't stay away for long or something like that.
Mhm.
I know we both were like, oh, like we wanted to hear a voice of like who
Yeah.
is she reporting to, which is something I think might be very interesting.
Yeah.
I saw a video online that because I feel like the most obvious answer is the Kaminoans.
Yeah. I said it right away. As soon as she pops up in the
Oh
show, I
yeah,
was like, "That's a Kaminoans. That's
yeah, even
their."
you.
Yeah.
Yep. But then I saw I forget the video, but they said the Kaminoans don't go directly to bounty hunters like that because we
Yeah.
see in um Mandalorian at least that version, maybe not Kaminoans directly, but the Kaminoan cloner, like they didn't go directly through them. They went through Grief Karga and the guild of bounty hunters. So maybe Fennec is reporting to another bounty hunter or
Right.
another character we might know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it out there. Boba Fett would knock my socks off if he shows
I
up in this
mean,
series.
I did
I don't
say it
want
in one
to.
episode. I was like, I
Yeah,
really just want to see animated Boba Fett.
because one thing, he's a clone. Another
Yep.
thing, he knows Fennec at least later on.
Hmm.
In this same video, I saw that would give him great motivation to like, why did he pick her up in the desert after she got shot? Like, unless they have like maybe this is
Yeah.
their prior connection. I would, you guys know how much I love Boba Fett. I've been harping on it since Mando season
Oh.
two. That's kind of my like throwing it out there theory. But
Yeah.
I would like to see what you think about who Fennec
Um.
is reporting to, if not
Well,
just the Kaminoans.
yeah. I didn't have like a specific person. I just felt like it was the ultimate, like the highest point was the Kaminoans to get
Is
Omega to Camino.
okay.
But Boba Fett, that could be a very interesting because obviously we know they work together Fennec is in this show, so it wouldn't be weird if Boba Fett showed up. It would make sense to why he's letting her hang around with him on Tatooine, or not, because not that they didn't, but that would just add more to why she's hanging around him because they have a connection from the past, which could be this. Um, Bubba already has a connection to Camino. Django was the original clone, and like he is a clone, or not the original clone, the original sample.
Donor. Yeah.
Yeah, the donor, and Boba is a clone. So maybe he's a little soft spot to maybe help the Kaminoans, get back on their feet because they're the reason he's alive, essentially. Um, yeah, that could definitely be interesting. But I feel like if Boba Fett was hired by the Kaminoans, he would want to get in there and do it himself. I don't feel
Uh,
like he's the type of bounty hunter that would, "You do this for me." That
you know
doesn't come
what?
till he takes over Tatooine. He's like, "I rule this. You go do my work." At this
I
point, when he's still young, I feel like he's a little bit more, "I'm gonna get in there and get my hands dirty."
I honestly I feel the same way, but I will counter because when I was thinking about it, my counter is in episode 2, which also I forgot to mention. We see some parallels in the spear shades, but in episode 2
Are
we
you
have
gonna bring what you're thinking?
Sidious
Oh my god,
to
yes.
hire Dooku, to hire Jango, to hire Zam Wessel. So
I know. And
Jango,
then
being the direct clone, is
and then
saying,
Wessel
You
used the
go do it.
worm and like
And then
didn't
Wesley
he,
used the word.
yeah.
So yeah, there is a lot of delegation stars. We've seen it
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
which is just something
That's
funny. Which I
possible.
I was thinking about when I
Yeah.
kind of drafted this theory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it comes down, it's got to be the Kaminoans because like they weren't going after Bad Batch. They were just going after
Yeah.
Omega. If it was like Empire, no, they want all of them. But I think Empire is going to be Crosshair and his squad. Like
Yeah.
that's going to be the guy tracking them down.
Yeah.
And Fennec
Fennec,
will be
yeah.
to Omega.
Fennec only wanted Omega. She didn't care about the Bad Batch. The Empire's the
Exactly. Yeah.
one
She was
hunting
just
them.
fighting them off and trying
Yeah.
to get Law.
It
Yep.
makes sense that the Kaminoans behind the Empire's back secretly want to get Omega so that they can make this super clone that they've been, hinting at to sell to the Empire. Um, so I don't think the Empire's involved with Fennec, at least.
Yeah.
Because if that were the case, then they would have had Fennec and probably a lot more bounty hunters to try and capture the entire group.
It's
Which
true.
may, hey, maybe we'll get Fennec and Boba hunting down the Bad Batch at some point
Ooh.
because the Empire hires them. That's I don't know, just throwing
Yep.
stuff out there. But yeah, that could be cool. Uh, I feel like he at this point in his life he wouldn't be the type of person who has the resources or would be willing to have people do stuff for him like that. Because I feel like he would be really like he knows he's good and he knows he
Hmm.
can do it. He doesn't want to have to rely on other people. He wants because he knows he can do it probably better than they could. Um,
And he
but
might.
if
Go ahead.
somehow connected to him somehow like through this network, I guess, that would be cool. But I definitely also agree with the idea that there could be a middleman between the Kaminoans and Omega, or it could literally just be like I'll say on the other end, like, please find this girl. So yeah,
Yeah.
what were you gonna say there?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna maybe Boba is like still in the phase like he has to make a name for himself still because
Hmm.
like he is still I don't even think he's 20 yet when
Yeah.
this
Well,
is
he does.
going on.
Yeah, yeah. Last we saw
So
him, he got Ventress shoved him in a treasure chest and handed him to some king, and
I
then
do.
we never. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" So maybe he's still probably getting there.
Yeah.
This is why we need that Cad Bane Boba Fett episode of the Clone Wars. I want that so bad.
Uh,
Scrap the
Clone.
entire 4 episodes of the middle arc of Season 7 Clone Wars and just give me one episode of Boba Fett and Cad Bane. I would take that any day.
Dave
Oh,
Filoni, I know you're listening because you
just
listen
got
to every
promoted.
episode. Yeah, shout out Dave Filoni again. But make that happen. Make that happen
Please.
immediately. Okay.
Please.
But
Doesn't
that's
even
all
have
I
to be
had.
Season 8, like just lost
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. But that's all I have. If you don't have anything else.
Yeah. Just a couple more predictions or, future wonderings. I kind of hope I'm assuming their next location will be this Idaflor planet because they talked about it at the beginning of the episode. It'd be cool to see that, a new planet. Maybe Wrecker, I feel like he might start developing like symptoms of the chip, not fully, like it slowly takes him over. I feel like that could be our connection to Rex, who has experience with the chips and might be able to like detect better than anyone else when something's going off. Because like he was able to tell, well, from being around all the other clones, he probably knows how they act differently and what being affected by the chip is like. So that could be our connection to that. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much all I had too. Like you said, it was a pretty actiony episode, more of a Clone Wars-esque episode, which was pretty cool. But yeah, anything else before we wrap it up here and give our review, I guess.
I gave a little bit of speculation, but prediction for next episode, still on the run. I usually say they will meet like familiar characters. I don't think we'll see a familiar character. I think we got Fennec in, we had Cut in, so I think we'll do
Yeah,
a
I hope
lot of
that I hope
new
it a
stuff.
little bit down the line.
That's yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Like we know we're gonna see Rex. We know
Yeah,
at least we're gonna see more. But like we had again Saul, Fennec, Cut.
Zygerians are coming too.
So yeah.
The
So I think
slavers.
next episode we're gonna have a lot of new stuff, which I'm kind of excited for.
Yep, maybe Idaflor is where the Zygerians are hiding. Oh,
Oh.
actually no, I think they went to the actual planet in the trailer.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right.
um, yeah, this episode, after thinking about it, watching it again, I don't know. It's kind of growing on me a little bit. I still have episode one, and then episode three, and but now it's like two and four, like are tied, or I like two just a little bit more. It's kind of tricky, but it just shows how good each episode has been. Like
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna give a rating because they really kind of are just pointless. Like there's no way, there's no scale, there's no gauge
Yeah.
to properly figure out what numbers we can, because it won't make sense. But just another good epic. Like it's crazy how each one so far, to me anyway, has been like pretty close to the others in terms of quality. Obviously, the pilot being over an hour long, it's going to be has a lot more in it.
Fantastic.
But still, like they're about the same quality, which I think is really cool. Even in like, even in Clone Wars, okay, I'm you probably have caught on. I'm a diehard Clone Wars fanatic,
Clone Wars rant. Let's go.
but Clone Wars had a couple stinkers. I mean, it's you
Mhm.
can't have 7 seasons of a television show with with network mandated episodes. Like back then, like Cartoon Network would have, okay, we need 22 episodes or we need 23 episodes
Yep.
specifically from the. You're gonna have a couple stinkers in there, and like there's plenty of episodes that I rewatched. I'm like, this one's not that great. I wouldn't mind if I skipped this one. Um, but like, that's just how it had to be. But at this point, without that restriction, I think they have room to make every episode, pretty good. And I'm just excited that we're not getting like filler garbage. We're getting good filler, and we're getting good developments for the characters.
Yeah, I think that's exactly like you said. They have more freedom to make better episodes, and you know what they are. Like they're delivering. Like they get to
Yeah.
choose how long the episodes are. They could choose how many there are, and Disney kind of agrees. Like, oh, okay, this is what you want to do. Do it. It's not Cartoon Network. No, like
Yep.
hate on Cartoon Network or Disney, but that's just how things work. It's like, oh no, we need 22 episodes for 22 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you. So just this new format, we've talked about it before, is just wonderful. I
Yeah.
think not even for Star Wars, for I guess TV in general, how it's kind of evolving is really great. Storytelling, top notch.
Yeah, some stories you can't fit in 22 minutes, and some stories take up perfectly 22 minutes. Like this episode was like, without the end credits, it was like 23-ish minutes.
Yeah.
That felt like a good length for me. I think each part of the story was its perfect length. I don't think it could have been any longer or shorter. Like the chase scene, we had a decent enough time. The droid part wasn't like too crazy, overextended for no reason. They weren't. It didn't seem like they were really rushing anything. If there was one if I had to pick one scene I thought was maybe like a smidge rushed, it was at the very end when they get back on the Bad Batch shuttle. It's like, oh, wow, that was Bounty Hunter. Okay, we have to figure out what she's doing. Boom, cut, and they're done. Like that would just like an example of explaining what I mean, not even like a
Yeah,
big
true.
example of this is too short or too bad. So like I feel like the whole story fit in that time slot. So until we see evidence that they're just filling time or they're they're shortening things to because they don't have enough time, I'm perfectly fine with every episode length before it comes out because we usually find out the episode lengths online before they come out.
Yeah.
how about you? Where do you how you feeling about this one in terms of where it is, or
I
just review in
still,
general?
yeah, I still think again, it's 1 and then 3, but 2 and 4, I think are pretty much level. And I think why they're level is because they're kind of pretty different episodes. We have a lot of action in this one, it's shorter, and then in 2, it's kind of more like Omega grown up and getting like the characteristics of the group, which I like. Like I like both these avenues, and I like how in 4 episodes we're already seeing like diversity and pacing and what the episodes are about.
Yeah,
I guess they're kind of still always on the run, but like no, in this one they're fighting off a bounty hunter. In this one, it's Omega tracking down like a worm in or whatever moon dragon and growing up and becoming part of the group. So I like the way it's going, and I imagine in 4 episodes, if we're seeing this much, it's gonna get a lot better and a lot more diverse.
I
So
hope so.
I'm super excited.
There's no way they make 4 quality episodes and then just tank
And
for
it's
10.
just boo. Yeah, no way.
Um, yeah, but that's our review slash breakdown of season 1, episode 4, The Bad Batch Cornered. Make sure to check out our review, which will be linked down below, as well as the playlist for our review, or not our review, our reaction. Sorry. Check out the reaction for this episode, as well as the playlist for reactions and reviews down below. Other stuff, there'll be things everywhere. We're pointing around the screen as if it's recording, even though this is audio only.
Shout
um,
out Craig.
yeah, check out Spotify if you want to listen to a longer version of this. You already know that. But yeah, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.
May the fifth be.
Goodbye. May the 26th be with you.
Damn. GG.
26.